welcome to GAC. I am Stormy Warren, and joining me here right now, one of the true Renaissance men, not only in country music, but in all the entertainment world. He's a multi-platinum, two-time Grammy-winning artist who has found success on the big screen as well, including Panic Room and his very classic performance in Sling Blade. Dwight Yoakam, welcome to our GAC set.
Stormy, thank you for having me.
Good. You know why we're here? You know why we're here? We're going to walk down memory lane just a little bit. We're going to take a look down your...
This is my life.
A chunk of your career in music video.
This
is your life. When was the last time you actually took your videos and watched them back to back and watched...
I haven't ever, I don't think, watched them in any kind of real order, or there's a lot of them, and usually I've watched the most recent. In the case of probably about half of the videos, I think in total is about 30. Sure. I've directed
quite a few,
a lot of them, about half, and those, you know, I watched more thoroughly probably over the, in terms of just having been involved with them in the cutting and conceiving them and, you know, directing them in all aspects of it, but it's been, you know, I mean, the most recent stuff is what I've watched recently. I haven't watched a lot of these in quite a while.
The old days, 20 years ago that was, when you first launched and were a pioneer, or a lead lemming, as we were just talking about.
A lead lemming, yeah. What is a pioneer?
A lead lemming.
It's the lead lemming.
You broke down the barriers. You created
the one that walks you off the cliff.
You created a music video
The
world.
Donner Party, they were pioneers.
Yes, but everyone has to start and everyone has to follow. You can never say that you followed into the music video world.
No, I wandered in early.
Aimlessly.
The first clip that I did actually was for an off-the-wall show. I think that was on an early kind of MTV thing, believe it or not.
Really?
Not even, there was not really much country music television at the time.
No.
There was not much, there was no such thing as TNN. The old TNN had, maybe had just begun in '84, but what you were seeing on the music channels was, you know, predominantly pop rock, and even that is kind of, you know, different than what it is now in terms of video fare. It was early on, and
things have changed.
Yeah, and the first one we did was we started playing it in late '85. Sherman Halsey directed it. That was Honky Tonk Man, and he did a great job with that. And it was his idea, I can't take credit for this, to go downtown in the old Fremont Street of Las Vegas. I might add, it was about 3 years ahead of them boys and U2 going down there and doing it.
You, once again,
now, I'm just saying, I don't know where they got the idea, but...
Enough talking about it. Let's take a look at it. From 1986, 20 years ago, a very young Dwight, very young Sherman Halsey. Here is Dwight Yoakam's Honky Tonk Man. Not like you're an old man.
Well, I am. Getting...
Well, I'm a honky tonk man. Ain't a crazy style. Love to give the girls the world to the music of an old goodbye. When my money's all gone, I'm on the telephone singing, hey, hey, mama, can your daddy come home? Well, now I'm living wild and dangerously. I've got plenty of company. The moon comes up and the sun goes down. But I can't wait to see the light in town. 'Cause I'm a honky tonk man, and I can't seem to stop. Love to give the girls the world to the music of an old goodbye. And when my money's all gone, I'm on the telephone singing, hey, hey, mama, can your daddy come home? Well, I'm a honky tonk man, and I can't seem to stop. Love to give the girls the world to the music of an old goodbye. And when my money's all gone, I'm on the wife's moaning those honky-tonk sounds. But I can't wait to lay my money down. 'Cause I'm a honky-tonk man, and I can't seem to stop. Love will give the girls the world to the music of another jukebox. When my money's all gone, I'm on the telephone singing, hey, hey, mama, can your daddy come home? I'm a honky-tonk man, and I can't seem to stop. Love will give the girls the world to the music of another jukebox. When my money's all gone, I'm on the telephone singing, hey, hey, mama, can your daddy come home?
That was Dwight Yoakam's Honky Tonk Man, and we were just talking how progressive that
20
looks.
years ago.
20 years.
Well, you know what? In deference to Sherman Halsey, I mean, he did a great job directing that, and he also, at the time, we were both living in L.A., and there's a lot of LA aesthetic to that video,
Sure.
I think, where we shot it, and just the club scene that was going on there.
Well, you can see that a lot of people are still ripping off what you guys tried to create back then, and we got a lot more with Dwight Yoakam's video
Well, I don't know
journey.
about ripping off.
Borrowing.
You know, when you follow a lemming, you get what you pay
You get
for.
what you pay for. We'll be right back. Welcome back to GAC. I'm hanging out here with my good friend now, Dwight Yoakam. This has been fun. This is very loose, just taking a walk
Walking down
down.
memory lane.
It truly is. Like you said, you haven't seen these videos in a while, but
Remember me?
we're forced-
I'm the one.
we're making you lift those
That
barriers.
was a weird video. Dean Martin had a video. Do you remember this? Early
Martin
years
had a
of
video.
MTV, yes. One of the craziest. He walked around the pool and he pushed mannequins, women, you know.
What year was this?
Female mannequins. He shoved them into the pool. Like literally the first year or two that you could tell how far they were going to get material to put on music television.
Desperate.
Yeah, like in 83, 82, he would, remember me, I'm the one that loves you. In a tux,
Yeah.
walking around a swimming pool, pushing
say.
female mannequins into the pool. And
With those
giggling
classic
about
guys,
with,
man.
with a martini glass and a cigarette.
But are you going to knock him?
You can't
can't knock
knock
him.
Dean Martin. I mean, that's a pioneer.
He's another lead
A
lemming.
lead lemming.
Begin with our lead lemming theme. Well, we're not here to talk about Dean. We're here to talk about you.
Thank you.
The next video we're going to show is one of my favorite streets of Bakersfield because you're hanging out with one of my idols as well, Mr. Buck Owens. What a cool dude. How much have you learned
Speaking
from
of
that
a
man?
pioneer.
How much have you learned from that man?
Well, you know, I learned a lot after meeting him. I learned a lot before I met Buck. I learned a lot about how I wanted to make my records and what I wanted my music to sound like. And I learned a lot about the California country music sound, which
Define
you know
that.
about.
Define
well,
that.
The Bakersfield sound, I refer to it as California country music sound because it really wasn't cut for the most part in Bakersfield. The guys played and lived up there. They would play at the old Blackboard Club and various
Right.
places around Bakersfield. And they would then drive the 100 miles south to work as session players at Capitol
LA.
Records on Vine Street right in Hollywood.
Sure.
In fact, Merle Haggard's Okie from Muskogee was recorded, ironically, given how that song, you know, lyrics rail against everything West Coast in
Right in the heart
Hollywood.
of
yeah,
Hollywood.
And Buck was so instrumental in creating that California sound. And I'm a huge admirer of Buck Owens' guitar playing. Merle Haggard says to this day that Buck Owens, at a moment in time, was the greatest lead guitar player ever in the history of country music.
I agree.
From the late 50s to the early 60s, before Don Rich took over the duties for Buck in studio. Buck played a lot of the lead
He
guitar.
underrates himself as a guitarist, doesn't he?
No, but he played a lot of those lead
Yeah.
guitar parts were Buck playing. It was Buck playing the guitar on his own records, but other people's records also.
Real quick before we toss to this video, Buck and Merle, I asked them to define the Bakersfield sound, and Merle leaned back and goes, "What me and Buck do?" That's a great answer. Here it is, Streets of
Exactly.
Bakersfield
Yeah.
from Dwight's 1988 album, Buenos Noches from a Lonely
This is
Room.
what me and Buck do.
This is you, Buck, and Merle.
I came here looking for something I couldn't Bakersfield. Hey, you don't know me, but you don't like me. Say you care less how I feel. But how many of you that sit and judge me ever walk the streets of Bakersfield? Spent some time in San Francisco. I spent a night there in the can. Lived through this drunk man in my jail cell. I took $15 from that man. Left him my watch and my old house key. Don't want folks thinking that I'd steal. And I thanked him as I was leaving. And I headed out for Bakersfield. Hey, you don't know me, but you don't like me. Say you care less how I feel. But how many of you that sit and judge me ever walk the streets of Bakersfield? Hey, you don't know me, but you don't like me. Say you care less how I feel. But how many of you that sit and judge me ever walk the streets of Bakersfield? How many of you that sit and judge me ever walk the streets of Bakersfield?
You know, there's only one problem that I see with this car.
What is it? What is it?
Well, it's
Buck
got,
on it?
it's got buck, but
what's
I think we need Dwight down here somewhere.
Well, I was going to have that put on there. but see,
It's classic. The streets of Bakersfield with
I
Buck
love that
Owens.
he says, but Dwight's 6 or 7 letters. Like, well, which is it, dude?
6 or 7.
6 or
Typical
7
Buck.
letters, huh?
But he'll convince
That
you
was
either
the-
way.
Oh yeah, that was the problem, huh, Buck? 6, 7, or 8 letters, or 5.
The Buck's been laying low a little bit lately.
6 or
Have you kept up with him?
Yes, I'm actually going up and playing New Year's Eve at the Crystal Palace with Vince Vaughn. And
Oh,
Vince Vaughn's
no.
taking his Wild West comedy tour for
To the
one night
Crystal
only.
Palace.
One night only.
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. Vince did a 30 days and 30 nights
Sure.
run with it. It was hysterical. And you know, Buck is friends with Vince. Vince went up when I went up in 1998 at Buck's birthday bash. He went up with me and he presented him a knife from Psycho, which Buck proceeded to chase me around on stage.
I was there. I
Remember
was
that?
there.
And
Yeah.
it was a real. I kept Vince and I kept trying to say, dude,
it's a
he's
real
like,
knife.
Buck, it's real.
I remember that.
It's a real knife.
I was there.
Yeah,
That
Buck was reenacting the stabbing scene from
And
Psycho.
all these people are scattering across the
yeah.
stage.
No.
Oh, that's funny.
It's like, whoa. But so Vince and Buck met at that time and are friends, and Vince wanted to go up there and do this on New Year's Eve, and Vince just loves Buck, and as many people do, and is a big fan of his music. So
Sure.
we're going to go up there New Year's Eve. So I've stayed in touch with Buck. Yeah.
Save a ticket. I think I want to go up there.
All
for
right.
that. All right. Well, we got time for a quick commercial or two, but please keep your seat. We're going to continue our trip down video memory lane with Mr. Dwight Yoakam. Keep it tight right here on GAC.
Remember me?
Dwight Yoakam for a look back at his incredible video career. Next up is one from 1991, It Only Hurts When I Cry. Tell me a little bit about that. That's a moody video.
Well, it is a moody video. Pierce Plowden directed this, and he did a great job. We talked about, I said, you know, what if we had kind of, you know, allegorical kind of references to, you know, things. And so that's why there's the mime-faced cop in the street directing traffic, and the girl, you know, that's out there kind of trying to make her way in life, shall we say. It's kind of hitching and
It's gritty. I mean, there's a
or
whole gritty
hook and a
theme.
ride. Would that be appropriate?
Yeah, hook and a- yeah,
but
you can say that.
She's kind of lost. There are a lot of lost souls in this video. Roger Miller and I wrote the song.
Which is amazing by itself.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience for me because he's one of the, you can truly apply the term genius to Roger Miller and his talent and his mind. And I was really blessed for having been able to have that experience with him. He passed away about a year after that was the #1 single, and I'll be forever
Is that one of his last?
grateful to him for doing. Yeah, it was the last chart record that he wrote, and it was the last experience that I guess he shared with somebody as as a writer, and we just had a ball. I had the idea for the song. We were doing a tribute to Willie Nelson at the Pantages Theater, and I said he had met me previously at Willie's Farm Aid in 1986 when I was just a young lead lemming. I was just a little old wee bitty old lead
theme
lemon.
of the show,
just
lead
a wee
lemming.
little old tiny old bitty lemon. And I was anyway in Austin at one of the Farm Aids, and Roger and I met there, and we reacquainted ourselves at this tribute to Willie at the Pantages Theater. I said, I told him I was a huge fan of his song that he wrote for Ray Price called Invitation to the Blues. And I was thinking about cutting it. I said, but I've got a song idea. I'd be honored if you'd write it with me. I said, I've got a title. It Only Hurts When I Cry. And he lit up and he went, I like that. And we wrote it together, and it became this video. I'm very proud of the video and of it being a #1
That's what you should. And his last. That's amazing. Let's take a look at it.
He
Dwight,
also sang harmony on it.
why don't you introduce it for us?
This is the video for the song that I was just talking about having written with Roger Miller. And there is a melancholy to the video, and it's appropriate given that it was the last thing that I think is a chart record Roger Miller wrote.
It Only Hurts When I Cry.
I don't feel no hurt at all, unless you count when teardrops fall. I'll tell the truth except when I lie, but it only hurts me when I cry. You couldn't tell it by the smile, but my recovery took a while. I worked for days and nights on end, just to walk and talk again. You can't believe the time it takes to heal a heart once it breaks. The only time I feel the pain is in the sunshine of the rain. I don't feel no hurt at all, unless you count when teardrops fall. I'll tell the truth except when I lie, but it only hurts me when I cry. Or maybe every now and then I have a small heartache again. You wouldn't know, look at me. Those tiny scars that you can't see. It was a struggle to survive. I'm probably lucky I'm alive. The only time I feel the pain is in the sunshine of the rain. I don't feel no hurt at all, unless you count when teardrops fall. I'll tell the truth except when I lie, it only hurts me when I cry. I'll tell the truth except when I lie, it only hurts me when I cry.
Dwight Yoakam, we are taking his walk down memory lane through music video, but we got to take a quick commercial first. Stick around. Plenty more great videos from this man right here, the king, Lead Lemming. And we are back with Dwight Yoakam as we take a retrospective look at some of the most important videos of his career. And up next is a video that I know is very special to you for a number of reasons. 1,000 Miles from Nowhere, the director, Carolyn Mayer. You want to talk about her?
Yeah, there's an irony involving Carolyn Mayer Bugh, who directed not only 1,000 Miles from Nowhere and Fast as You. We co-directed 1,000 Miles. Now I'll get into that in a second, but the first video she directed for me was the first single off of This Time, and that was Ain't That Lonely Yet.
Right.
And I say there was an irony surrounding Carolyn and my relationship, and that particular video. We were shooting that downtown LA in 1993, early 93, on the morning that they bombed the World Trade Center for the first time, when they drove the vans underneath the building.
Wow.
And we watched it in kind of grainy terrestrial TV antenna of Channel 5 News. We heard about it when we were about 2/3 of the way through the shoot day, and we both stood there in that little trailer and watched that video and watched the chaos in New York. And little did we know that, a few years later, in 2001, she'd be on an airline flight that was the first airline that went into the World Trade Center on September 11th. She and her mother were tragically killed in that act of terrorism. And
that's amazing.
She had left. She'd been taking her 2 daughters for their first semester at Rhode Island School of Design, and was on the way back out of Boston that morning, and so I can't ever talk about that without being melancholy, and these videos without being melancholy about Carolyn Mayer Bugh and John Bugh, who was her husband,
music executive.
Was executive at Warner Brothers, is the man who first let me loose in an editing room. And John suggested, he said, on, I believe, the Turn It On video, which predates this, he said, you should go in there and cut it. There was an editor named Jim Gable, and he said, no. I said, well, I don't know that he said, you have something you're seeing in your mind, in your head. That's how you make these. So I went in and did that, and that led to, doing other things. And then Carolyn, who was not married to John yet at the time, was a director of great, with a lot of credits, and was very well respected. And
sure.
She did that video, and then 1,000 Miles from Nowhere we did together, and I had a bit of an argument with her over. It was nothing. There was no anger involved. It was just a friendly and ribbing kind of disagreement about how we cut the clip. And she had a cut that she loved, and I said, I went in and did a cut. And she came to the editing room, and I said, well, Carolyn, what part of my cut don't you like? You think? I said to the editor, I said, you know what? Run them both at the same time. Let's run them side by side, picture by picture, and just see how. Where we're, I said, because I'm using some of the same shots you used, and you're using some of the things. She said, I know, but I love that other thing. So it ran through, and by the time I got to the end of the video, just the first run of it, I turned to the editor and I said, you know what, I think I looked at her and I said, that's the video, Carolyn. And she said, well, which one? I said, both of it.
Merge them together.
And that's what we did. And there's an interesting synergy to when we both picked the same shot and when we didn't.
It's the blending of the minds. That's great.
I'll God bless Carolyn Mayer Bugh and her family, and I'll just, forever carry her in my heart.
Well, let's let her memory live on. Let's take a look at the video from Dwight's sensational album, This Time. Here is 1,000 Miles from Nowhere.
Echoes in my head.
From 1993, that was 1,000 miles from nowhere. Now, quick question. We looked at your two videos, Carol Mayer and your videos side by side. Which one was which?
I was watching, and I thought at one point mine was right, and then I thought, no, it's I don't remember. I can't tell you.
Another piece of trivia, who else is in that video?
Well, you get a few glimpses there of a young Kelly Willis.
Very talented Texan.
Yeah, very
Kelly
talented. Kelly Willis, beautiful, and was gracious enough to come and stand in the river, wave at the train as it went by.
That's awesome. And you did your own stunt work on that, moving on a train going 30, 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely amazing.
Wasn't as scary as the poor people up in the helicopter getting those helicopter shots.
Good point. We'll take another quick pause in the action, but sit tight. A double shot from Dwight is on the other side. I don't think I can take it, including one he directed. We'll be right back. We're going to make a light speed jump ahead to the year 2003 for Dwight's next video. It's called The Back of Your Hand, and it's a beautiful, beautiful
I think
song.
there's tissue on my lip.
I don't want
That's
to talk
neither
about
here nor
that.
there. Yeah, it was
let's
that
talk
whipping 10 years ahead that got me.
You ran into a
More or
cotton
less,
ball along the way.
a load of lemmings.
The inside stuff you just don't get when the camera's off.
It's about being a pioneer
Yeah.
or a lead lemming.
It makes sense if you were with us for this whole show. Anyway, we are talking about at
You
the back
should have
of your
been. See what you miss when you don't watch from beginning to end. You could TiVo this, but no, you're too lazy to set it.
You're watching it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, ignorant.
Let's talk videos. We're talking the back of your
Is she
hand.
upset? Okay.
No, gosh, we're going to roll it. We don't stop for anything here.
We're all happy. Happy? Yeah. And
The back of your hand, I love this video. I love the song. Let's keep going.
Back of Your Hand was directed by Margaret Malandrucolo.
Oh, I let you say it. Gosh.
What a beautiful name for a beautiful woman, and a really talented director. She's a still photographer. That's her first professional pursuit was shooting a lot of commercial photos for advertisements. Yeah. And she came actually to a show of mine in 2002 and shot some live shots without my, she had a photo pass, but I got them at the office some months later. I said, I should talk to whoever this photographer is. She shot the Population Me album cover, and she had been directing videos. She's from Toronto, Canada, and is a very talented director and did a great job with this. I think she, it was interesting. She brought a woman's perspective to the song and to the video.
And to you.
Yes, me. Who would thunk it? A lead lemon.
A lead lemon.
Being led around
touch.
like a little child.
Here it is from the album Population Me. Back of your hand. Gosh, I hope I make it through this show.
When you give it up for gone, but you're still digging in the mine, and you're staring at the window, saying everything will be just fine, and keeping with the whole affair, every word seems out of line. No matter what angle you get, it's polished till it shines. You take a guess where I stand, pick a number, 1, 2. Take a look, the back of your hand, just like you know it. You know me too. When you say, who the hell am I living with? What just went down? Where did this come from? Why are all my colors faded brown? When did it change? What's with the rage? Who's the dude with the extra roll? What's the verse, the line, the chapter, the page? You take a guess where I stand, pick a number, 1, 2. Take a look, the back of your hand, just like you know it. You know me too. You think you're lost without any place left to go. like you need one of those kisses, long and slow. At first glance, it's not what it seems, but there's some things that I just know. Like you take 2 sugars with a splash of cream, you take a guess where I stand. I'll pick a number, 1 to 2, then take a look at the back of your hand, just like you know it. You know me too, yeah, like you know it. You know me too, just like you know it. You know me too.
Well, that was Dwight Yoakam's Back of Your Hand. In fact, I'm learning to know you just like the back. What is it?
Yeah, how many veins in the back of your hand?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I was completely taken with that song the first time I heard it. And I heard it on the set of Hollywood Homicide. Greg Lee Henry, a very talented actor, was there visiting a friend of his, and he happened to stop by and play it for me. And I said, "Can we skip back?" He had several songs on tape. I said, "What was that?"
And it just hit
Could
you.
I record that? And he said,
That's amazing.
"Sure, do it." And it became a #1 video for me.
Funny how the greatest ones find their way to you in the weirdest ways.
Sometimes.
Absolutely. Well, you know, we got one more break to go, and that's it. Time has flown through the history and career of Dwight Yoakam, but we're going to finish up strong with Dwight's brand new video right on the other
I'd hope
side.
it would last longer than this short little 20-year
Blip. Welcome back. We are going to finish up our look back at the almost 20-year video career of Dwight Yoakam with his latest offering. It's a video for the song that is the title track of his brand new album, Blame the Vein. First of all, let's talk about this brand new album. This thing came about as a result, really, of just surrounding yourself with a brand new bunch of guys, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and some guys that had played with me previously. When I went into the studio, I actually began in just as you know, circumstance would have it. I was hanging out at the clubs in late 2002 in LA, and there's kind of a country rock scene that had exploded again. Yeah. And Keith Gaddis was a guitar player that was fronting his own band and hosting one of the nights or a couple of the nights at different clubs. And the Sin City All-Stars, and he had a night called Eastbound and Down. And I sat in with him, and the drummer, Mitch Marine, was playing, you know, at the time with Keith. And I said, "Keith, would you come and maybe do this Christmas benefit with me just on, you know, I'm an acoustic and he played mandolin or whatever." And we had such a great time doing it. I said, "You want to run out and do maybe 4 or 5 shows like this with me?" Because I've been threatening to do it since the acoustic.net album that I put out in 2000. That led to 42 cities like that.
Right.
The Almost Alone tour. I was having so much fun doing it that I thought, well, I've got to do some shows as a band.
Sure.
So we added a drummer, added an upright bass player, Dave Rowe, and did that year like that. And that led to my going into the studio. But I did enlist the services and the sounding board of Taras Pradanyuk on bass, who played with me for 15 years, and Skip Edwards on keyboards, and then Keith, who had been out with me the whole previous year.
Sure.
So I had folks around that I knew I could trust their opinions on different things, and that led to the Blame the Vein album, and that's how, you know, I recorded most of 2004, and it will actually be in February 20 years since the Honky Tonk Man video came out. And Blame the Vein, this particular video, I did with the woman who is the beautiful gracing presence on the album cover and on the inside, and that's Donna Feldman.
Nice.
And she was gracious enough to come and be a part of the video and give us that gorgeous view of those beautiful legs as they come down the catwalk and kind of send me up. And it's actually kind of an homage in some ways, what I consider the iconoclastic, talk about a lead lemming or a pioneer in videos, the Robert Palmer video that we all know for Addicted to Love, that's been actually covered by some people. you know, Shania's, and this was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek reference to that with the girls in suits.
Well, let's kick off Dwight's third decade in this wacky business. It's the debut video from his new album of the same name. Here is Blame the Vein.
I blame the vein for what we wear, and I blame the blind when we can't see. I blame it all on someone else till there's nobody left. Then I just blame me. I blame her mind for the thoughts we share. Won't I blame her heart for every time we care? I blame it all on how we used to be till she's finally gone. Then I'll just blame me. So go ahead and blame anything that you want, 'cause it all ends up the same. When everything that you've been claiming is wrong. Oh, and don't you know that blame is always never enough. It just keeps you in the game till you only got yourself left to blame. So I blame the vein for what we wear. Yeah, and I blame the blind when we can't see. I blame it all on someone else till there's nobody left. Then I'll just blame me till she's finally gone. Then I'll just blame me.
Talk really fast. That was Blame the Vein from Dwight Yoakam. We've eaten up every bit of time in the show.
I've talked too long and
yes,
too
you
much.
have, and we're getting yelled at by everybody.
Sorry. Back there in the control room, they're
screaming.
upset.
They are screaming.
Shut him up, please. Shut him up.
We're shutting him up. Dwight Yoakam, thanks for hanging out with us. This is a great time.
Pleasure's for me.
Walk
Thanks
down
for having
memory
me.
lane.
Yeah.
We'll see you
A quick
next
little
time.
stroll, a stumble, as it were.